So the whole, till the end of the canto, it's all about the power of inspiration. But often he is suggesting intuition, revelation, vision. So I'll just go back a little as I usually do. And I awake in voiceless heights of trance, a mind plucking at the unimaginable, overleaping with a soul and perilous bound the high black wall hiding superconscience. She broke in with inspired speech for scythe and plundered the unknowable's vast estate. She is inspiration, but the image is the high black wall hiding superconscience. The superconscious is hidden from us by our mental world of semi-ignorance and semi-knowledge. It is this that does not allow us to go beyond the mind. But she leaps over it, she goes beyond, and she broke in as if like she transgresses into territories which are not really part of the normal mental journey. And so it is not thought. He starts the sentence with an I. I, not thought. Vision, direct vision, in voiceless heights of trance. When the mind is utterly still, the whole consciousness is withdrawn from the surface, and there is a feeling of total outward sleep. It's not sleep, it's an inner silence. And in that silence, there is an opening, a vision, a direct knowledge, with which she leaps over the high wall. Normally, we are on the other side of this wall. Our mind is always doubting and questioning and thinking, and so we can't make that leap beyond. And so she broke in with inspired speech for scythe and plundered the unknowable's vast estate. She loots. She goes in and she takes as much power and knowledge and light that she can take. Unknowable to the thinking, rational mind. Either she takes that in one strong leap, or she takes in, enters that territory and picks up a little at a time, small, you might say, expressions, details, which change the whole pattern of the truth. Like a gleaner picks up the fallen grain after the harvest has gone. The harvester has, or the sheaves have been made, the gleaners come and pick up the grain. So there is also this movement of the details that have to be picked up. We sometimes have an idea of what is the light or the truth, but it is because we have not the direct experience, these small details which are always the, you might say, direct verification of the experience. When I can give you the details of my experience, then that experience is true. When I speak in general terms, it could be something I have read or thought about. Sri Aurobindo focuses very often on those details. They are factual, they are things that you have gone through. So like a gleaner picks up grain by grain, and each grain is infinitely vast, contains the infinity of knowledge and truth. So a gleaner of infinitesimal grains of truth. Small grain, atoms, but each atom of reality, of truth, is the infinite. In each particle of the divine manifestation, the all is present. So you get the image of the harvesting with the scythe, and then with the, like a gleaner, a sheaf binder of infinite experience, then gathering together, putting them together so that we can get some that it is possible for us to move on to the next stage. This is how systematically Sri Aurobindo moves on. And even in the Upanishads, you get the same thing. You get the statements of reality, and then you have the, you might say, the groups, the general terms. So she is a gleaner, she is a sheaf binder of infinite experience. She pierced the guarded mysteries of world force, because this knowledge of the supreme power that is at work in all things, this knowledge is not easily accessible to the superficial mental approach. In Sri Aurobindo, you get the vision of the involution, the diving down of the divine consciousness right down into the lower planes, in the body, in the subconscious, in the inconscient. That's why you need this power of inspiration that can dare to go right down into all the planes of experience and find the divine power that is hidden below, thanks to which there is the possibility of rising up from below upwards. Evolution, change, growth cannot be possible unless that force is hidden deep within. We do not have to give up the external and outer mode of existence. We need to give up our ignorance, our unconsciousness, which usually leads us to the sense of division, that this is the lower and that is the higher plane of existence. In the lower is hidden the higher as well. It is more dangerous. If I have once the connection with the higher light, with that light I can go down and not be disturbed by the forces that guard the dark, the lower force. Deep within, in the lower planes, the divine force is guarded. And so, for the most part, we do not dare to go there. In the supreme inconscient, the supreme consciousness is hidden, out of which, therefore, consciousness begins to rise. But before I can reach that supreme consciousness hidden in the inconscient, I can be trapped by all kinds of other forces. So in order not to be trapped, I have to be first totally, firmly based on the divine consciousness. With that as my guard, my shield, my power, I can plunge. Mothers experienced this and described it in several places. So she pierced the guarded mysteries of world force and her magic methods wrapped in 1,000 veils. Magic, we don't know the meaning when we don't understand something, when something is beyond our logical understanding, we call it magic. Well, the range that mind can grasp is really very narrow. Beyond the mind are worlds and planes of experience. The universal Prakriti starts doing her work below. As she emerges, we realize that she is not simply unconsciously the Apara Prakriti. She is the divine Shakti, the Para Prakriti. So she is slowly emerging from darkness to light. She is the push that makes us grow from darkness to light. This is the natural secret. Mysteries. Mystery is not something you don't understand only. Mystery is also secret knowledge, hidden knowledge. That's why in the ancient world, all the spiritual knowledge was often described as mysteries. What was hidden to the mental understanding. Now we have today especially become very dependent on our mental judgment and understanding. Whereas mysteries are based on direct experience. The mind has to be completely shut down. And that experience will take us slowly forward if we allow this force, which is where the divine descent has gone down, and with the help of sometimes this flash of inspiration, which is actually breath. Inspiration literally means breath, energy, breathing in. When you inspire, you breathe in. When you expire, you breathe out. When you are alive, you are breathing in the universal energy. It's coming into you, into every cell of your body. When you breathe out completely, you are no longer there physically. But it's a interplay of forces coming into us and coming out of us. We are simply open to these play of these forces. So sometimes if the person is open, this inspiration comes down and fills the being with another energy, capacity, so that the journey of consciousness is suddenly speeded up. So she pierced the guarded mysteries of world force, and her magic methods wrapped in 1,000 veils, all kinds of different play of expressions. You stop midway and then you say, oh, this is the truth. Then you go a little further and you say, no, that was not exactly, there's something else also. And these outer appearances catch our attention because some of them are very attractive. These are all beings and forces. Every force can be described as an entity. It has a permanent role. Every plane has its different characteristics. These characteristics are sometimes described as the gods. They are there. And unless one is completely ready and surrendered to the divine, total, supreme divine, these forces are always there to take hold of us. They take hold of us and make us lose our way, or they enjoy having fun at our cost, in a way. So these are like 1,000 veils. We lose our way. Or she gathered the lost secrets dropped by time. This is exactly what Sri Aurobindo has done. Lost secrets dropped by time. Supposing you go back to the ancient age of the mysteries. In India, it was the age of the Vedas. Everywhere you had the mysteries, like the Greeks had their mysteries, the Egyptians had their mysteries, the Chaldeans had their mysteries. They are all spiritual secrets, spiritual experiences, which slowly were replaced by mental and then philosophical, mental, conventional expressions, explanations. The age of the Shastras and the age of the Sutras, they come, and the original secrets, which are based on direct experience, the visions, the symbols, they are no longer, they're not experienced anymore. We read the texts, we don't see what was the experience that made this text, because we are caught up in the play of words. So this is why with time, the original spiritual age, this is what he describes in the human cycle also, the original spiritual age is replaced by the age of convention. You have rules and shastras, and it is perhaps required at a certain stage. All cannot be capable of this kind of profound experience, whereas the horizontal progress also is required. mass of humanity also has to get a certain amount of help and guidance. So these explanations come to the help of those who are not capable of making that sharp and profound attempt to reach the truth. They are always for the few. The mysteries are for the few. The true spiritual knowledge. It's only for those who have this very strong and powerful direct experience. And that is why most of these experiences are lost by time. Fortunately for us, in our country, it is not totally lost. In all other countries, all these mysteries are lost. What were these secrets, the spiritual secrets? The age of reason comes, the age of the intellect comes and puts things into classifications and explanations, and the true spiritual experience is wiped off. Now, this inspiration can, with the direct aspiration and inspiration, they have to go both ways. From below, that has to be a call. From above, the descent can come. And she gathered the lost secrets dropped by time in the dust and crannies of his mounting route. His mounting route is time's mounting route. Time is also moving. And from moving from the age, because there are different stages. In the very early age, there was, as he has told us, this strong spiritual aspiration which only a few were capable of. Supposing like in the Vedic age, the rishis were only a few in number. The vast majority of men were not. They were completely at a very physical level. So they too needed to be helped. So there was a certain, that is why you have in the Vedas, you have, it can be read in 2 or 3 ways. You read the superficial meaning, it means one thing. You read the secret and deeper significance, and it means something totally different. And so as man becomes more and more, as education or development becomes generalized, there is also a kind of what Sri Aurobindo describes as a horizontal progress. The sharp aspiration of the individual is a vertical progress. All are not capable of it. The horizontal progress is the general raising up of the masses. And in that time, the masses rise up to some extent, no doubt. From the absolute physical age, there is a slight evolution. Something is lost, a little bit is gained. So, mid old forsaken dreams of hastening mind and buried remnants of forgotten space. Mid old forsaken dreams of hastening mind. Mind is, after all, an instrument of knowledge. It wants to know. It cannot know, because one of the things the mind cannot do is to have direct experience. The body has experience, the heart has experience, the spirit has experience, but mind can not directly experience. That is that part of the mind which is logic, which is reasoning, which is thought. But mind dreams, mind can dream, mind can imagine, mind can really tell us that I have to break out of my reliance on thought. There is a vision, there is a possibility. So this is where mind takes us to that which is beyond the mind. If we push our intellectual development, we realize that there has to come a point where you have to go beyond the intellect and replace it with direct vision, direct experience, intuition. Otherwise, we will never know. We'll know about something, but we will not know something. And when we try to read Sri Aurobindo or other spiritual texts. We know about them, we don't live them. To live them, we don't have to rely on mental understanding. There are other parts of the being that have to really participate. So these are the dreams. But mind is, after all, that which tells us that I can't take you further. I can bring you up to this point where I say, this, the purpose of your existence is to reach the truth. I can only give you half-truth. I can tell you this much is true, but the rest is not. Because mind always divides. Right from wrong, good from bad, darkness from light. It is a dividing factor. A total direct experience cannot be had by the mind. You have to go beyond the mind. And so strong has the mental guidance been for so long that it is difficult to go beyond. So this intuition is a traveler. Intuition, or inspiration, is a traveler between summit and abyss. She joined the distant ends, the viewless deeps, or streaked along the roads of heaven and hell. Heaven and hell, the world of light, and the world where we don't see any light, which is what you call hell. Hell is not a world which is the opposite of the divine, where there is no divine existence. There seems to be no divine existence. It seems to be a world of complete darkness, and that is what we call hell. But from there, if we have plunged deep into the darkness, this is the experience Mother had, that she went down in 1958, I believe, at the very bottom of the inconscience. She said, most hard and rigid and narrow and stifling. It looked as if she was withdrawing from life. She was stifling. I struck an almighty spring at the very bottom that cast me up forthwith into a formless, limitless vast, vibrating with the seeds of the new world. The energy of rising to the highest was because of a spring that she touched at the very bottom of the inconscient. So then the relationship between the heights and the depths, they are not opposed to one another. One leads us to the other. And this is one of the fundamental aspects of Sri Aurobindo's and Mother's yoga, the integral yoga. In the very inconscient, the presence of the consciousness is there. The seed contains the tree. In every cell, the light is there, but it has to be brought out. And it is not easy. There is a struggle, there is a difficulty. It is so difficult that usually these aspects have been not attempted. Even great yogis have focused on the heart, the soul, the mind, but not the lower nature, the subconscious, the inconscient, because there the divine energy has been left asleep for so long that one feels it is not there, and when it is not there, you call it hell. But there is only one universe. What is below is also what is above. So she streaked along the roads of heaven and hell, pursuing all knowledge like a questing hound. We have the image of Sarma. Sarma is a dog, the name of a dog. And she's like a real bloodhound. She seeks her prey without losing her way. Straight intuition. So it's not only inspiration, it is also the power the energy for there's only one thing that she wants, and she wants knowledge. The ultimate knowledge is experience. Direct knowledge only is what satisfies the seeker. Not to know about something, but to know it. You have to be it, you have to live it, you don't have to think about it. A reporter and scribe of hidden wisdom talk. Her shining minutes of celestial speech passed through the masked office of the occult mind, transmitting gave to prophet and to seer the inspired body of the mystic truth. So here you have two aspects. There is the direct experience, there is the transmission of that experience, which here he uses the image of the scribe. The scribe is the writer, takes down the notes. The scribe is not the writer who composes the thought. There were times when the person who had the direct experience did not always know how to write. He would speak, others took down what he spoke. And that is why the same thing that Sri Aurobindo used, a scribe. The scribe took down what he spoke. But the wisdom is not just it is not for the scribe to express the wisdom. It is that the mind, which is the scribe, because we have to use language. When you have experience, you have to use language. Language belongs to the mind. But this language had layers of truth, hidden wisdom thought. So, without interfering, without trying to, you might say, explain, the scribe writes down what is received. That is the role of the mind. The mind gets, a vision comes, an experience comes, it has to be transmitted by the instrument. The instrument is mind. Or if you are a painter, your instrument is your hand. Or if you are a musician, the instrument is your voice or a musical instrument. It is, you have to be faithful to what comes down. The truth is not for you, if you are the instrument, to judge, to correct. So the wisdom was always there. She kept the minutes. Minutes were like notes of celestial speech. That is why we are told about, for instance, the Vedic language is not just what it says. There is the words are there, the symbols are behind the words, and behind the symbol is the experience. In fact, all language is that. We say something, we use language to transmit something we have seen or gone through. Very often, the words we use are inadequate to express what we have gone through. So there is usually some kind of distortion. And the person who reads with his mind, there is still more distortion. And so with time, the truth that was originally experienced gets a little, and then slowly more than a little, further and further away from the original experience. So the only thing is to do is to go back to the original experience as much as possible. And the one who does it is not a thinker, is a prophet or a seer. He is not a thinker, he is not a philosopher, he is not a teacher, he is one who attempts the experience and uses the power of direct vision. This is why the one who has the vision was called the capable of what is called drishti. The one who has the audition, sometimes it came in a form of vibration of sounds, a certain play of energy and vibration of sounds, and this was called Shruti. Neither of which was the language of the mind. Beyond the mind, this connection with the original experience has to be there. If that is not there, we stop with the words, which is what we are doing also. We're stopping with the words. We have to try to go behind the words. We can't even try, we have to live the words. For that, we have to give ourselves, our egos, they must put our egos aside and try to plunge into the state which will perhaps make us open to inspiration, intuition, allow the force to enter into us. And suddenly, sometimes there is a breakthrough. Sometimes suddenly you realize, oh, it is this. You read something and the lines, the words break, and you go deeper into another layer of experience. A recorder of the inquiry of the gods, spokesman of the silent seeings of the Supreme, she brought immortal words to mortal men. This is what he has given us. This power of a direct transmission that is given to us mortals. If we are open, if we are completely without interference, we're just a recorder, we're just not judging, not trying to give any kind of interpretation of the inquiry of the gods. The gods are these forces. What is the play of the universe? On each level, what we call the lower levels and the higher level and the highest level, they are all different powers. The universe is one whole sphere. It is not a class, you might say, something that is built level upon level. It may seem to be, but on the highest, when we reach the highest plane, Sri Aurobindo speaks of a spherical consciousness or a global reality, which is above, it contains the all. What is below is also part of the all, the plan of the divine. And therefore, from each plane, something of the evolutionary consciousness emerges. And if I am inspired, I see the play of the divine work that is done in matter. I may see the play of the divine work that is done in life. In life, there are other forces. All kinds of impulses and desires come in. And so I have to look carefully, because life becomes far more complex than matter. And in the field of life, I may mistake the play of the divine and the desires and impulsions as part of the divine knowledge. Sometimes I lose my way. I have to be totally firm and hold on to that central, innermost connection with the divine to see how, through all these different aspects, he is slowly working the emergence of consciousness out of unconsciousness. It is as if we have to be very careful. We often mistake the lesser to be the greater. But they have their roles. They are made, perhaps meant to make us lose our way. When we lose our way, we get a blow. When we get a blow, we realize that we mistook the surface experience of the ego to be the true experience. So we move out of that. So all these things come for the seeker of true knowledge. It is not with the help of thought or mind. It has to be the opening to a higher light, and for that the mind has to shut down. Then inspiration, intuition can come and do its work in my being, whichever part of the being it may be, in the darkness, because there is so much darkness, in the vital, in the mind, in the heart, in the spirit, the interplay of all these forces. And then it can become a journey of splendid discovery. This is the journey of discovery. I discover the whole, as I discover myself, I discover him. He is there inside. But he is hidden in so many ways. So above the reason's brilliant, slender curve. That is the thing, the brilliant, slender curve. Reason gives a certain amount of light, no doubt, but a narrow curve. You go beyond reason, above the reason's brilliant, slender curve, released like radiant air dimming a moon. Air, the field of consciousness, connecting what is below and what is above. Moon is has no light of its own. Moon receives light from above. Moon, therefore, is very often compared to the mind. The mind receives light from beyond, a certain amount of mind. So you reach a stage which is above the mind, where the moon, the light of the moon seems dim. Now thinking is replaced by vision. Broad spaces of a vision without line or limit swam into his spirit's ken. Ken is the range of vision. How far can you see? And here is very interesting, and he says, it is not the range of vision of the eyes or of the mind, but of the spirit. You see from within. You don't see from the outside. Very often, therefore, you have to close your eyes to see. Your inner being has to open. It was perhaps one reason why in many countries in the olden times, prophets and seers were presented as blind. They were blind, no, they were not distracted by the surface appearances. So that they are not distracted by the surface appearances, they don't see the surface. They see with the eye of the spirit. And this is what really the development of consciousness, which is air, can do for us. We don't see from the surface. As long as we see things as they are on the surface, the mind is very busy judging, thinking, planning, analyzing, commenting on this, that, and all the time. But if we see from within, there is a total reversal of our nature, and it becomes vast, it becomes broad. You see the play of the divine in all things, and broad spaces of vision without line or limit swam into his spirit's ken. Oceans of being met his voyaging soul. So you see the journey of this jnani, this seeker of knowledge, is becoming the journey of the spirit. The spirit which is slowly becoming the leader, and no longer it is the thinking individual man who thought he's at the top of the evolutionary ladder because he's a thinker. He's not even a very good thinker anyway. But beyond it is the one true guide. The guide is the spirit. It is that which is the voyaging soul. And so the vastness, ocean and air, both often are, these two images are used by Sri Aurobindo very often to describe the fields of consciousness. And like explorers, he moved through the oceans to find new lands, new worlds. Similarly, there are planes and experiences and fields of existence unknown to us. We are not the only thing the way we are. There are so many ways of being. So oceans of being met his voyaging soul, calling to infinite discovery. So there is this, he gives a very beautiful, you might say, definition of what is a poet, which is a seer. A poet is also a seer. A kavi is a seer, because not a thinker. who has the spiritual excitement, he calls it a spiritual excitement of a journey of self-discovery. The more you discover reality, you discover yourself. In the islands of form and name, through the inner and outer worlds. The more you discover the world, the more you discover the world in yourself. It's a journey of continuous opening to reality, and there is this joy, the delight of experience, calling to infinite discovery. Timeless domains are kingdoms of joy and absolute power, stretched out, surrounded by the eternal hush. Above, the supreme, absolute Purusha, unmoving, undisturbed. From him, the projection of the play. So the discovery of the different planes of existence, different manifestations, everything, there's the delight of creation. The original purpose is the delight of creation. By whom? By one who is above creation. So he is forever still. She is at work. She is the one who is playing, journeying, making, breaking, shaping, remolding. So this state of continuous discovery, stretched out, surrounded by the eternal hush, the ways that lead to endless happiness ran like dream smiles through meditating vasts. So on the one hand, the hush, the calm, the infinite silence. On the other hand, the delight. So you have the Sat, which is existence, Chit Shakti, and the Ananda, the manifestation, the play, disclosed, stood up in a gold moment's blaze. This could come in a sudden flash, like a lightning. Intuition is sometimes compared to a lightning. Lightning is a flash in the dark. It suddenly illumines, and it also burns down whatever is part of the dry, old world. So that is one of the aspects of intuition. Disclosed, stood up in a gold moment's blaze, white sun steppes in the pathless infinite. So you get the image of worlds stretched out like the Siberian steppes, where there is vastness and wideness, and yet in that there is the beginnings of life, the beginnings of change. So from above there is a descent, from below there is an aspiration, and this is what is happening at this moment to the realization of this yogi.